To introduce myself, my name's Melissa. I work as part of the student recruitment team at Hope. Myself and my colleague Nathan, who also works as part of the student recruitment team, will just be giving you a short presentation today all about budgeting and finance at university. If you have any questions during the presentation, do feel free just to pop them in the Q&A. You can find that just at the bottom of your screen. Usually it's the two little speech bubbles. You can type all of your questions in there, and we'll have time for questions at the end. So just to let you know that if you do have any questions, just type them in there. We can't see or hear you today because it's a webinar. So if you do need anything, or equally, if you need to let us know if you can't hear us properly or you're having struggle seeing the slides, do let us know as well. So I think because we're a few minutes in, I will get started. So apologies if it's a little bit slow skipping on. So just before we begin, I just want to tell you a little bit about Liverpool Hope, if you're not too sure on who we are. So we're a university based in Liverpool. Our main campus is based in Childwall, which is just in the outskirts of the city. Our original college was founded in 1844, and we are a rather small university compared to some of our neighbours. We have around 5,500 to 6,000 students, but we do have over 1,200 courses to choose from, so you're not stuck for choice if you're looking for something to study. And just to let you know as well that we've recently spent around £60 million on campus developments, such as our state-of-the-art health sciences building. A few stats about us as well. We are currently top 2 in the Northwest for teaching quality, according to the Sunday Times and Good University Guide. And we're the top university in Liverpool for student satisfaction as well. So that students feel like they're getting a really good experience when coming to study at Hope. And to let you know as well, we currently have a TEF Gold, which the TEF stands for Teaching Excellence Framework. That is the framework by which universities in the UK are measured in terms of their teaching quality, and that is the highest you can get. So again, students feel like they're getting a really good deal by coming to Hope. If you are looking at universities currently, I'm not sure where you are in your sort of journey for looking at universities. Stats like these are really great to look at when you're looking at your prospectuses and things like that. So that's just a little tip. So I just want to invite you to start off by having a little think about what you currently know about budgeting, finance, finance at university. You might know a fair bit, you might not know a lot. I imagine you probably want to find out more, and that's why you've joined us here today. So just get those points up, just go back. So a few stats in terms of what students know and think about budgeting for university. So when asked, 77% of students wish they'd had a better financial education before coming to university. So again, like I say, I imagine that is why some of you are joining us here today, just to find out a little bit more about how you can best manage your money when you come to study. 62% think that the maintenance loan is sufficient enough. So if you're unsure what the maintenance loan is, that is the money that students get to cover their living costs whilst at university. So if you are eligible for student finance, you'll be applying for that, and then your tuition fee loan, which is a separate kind of loan, which is directly paid to the university to cover your cost of study, but the maintenance loan is paid to you. Some students find that that covers them okay. Some students may find that they want a little bit more money, and that's where they might start to look for part-time work, which we'll go into a little bit more later on in the presentation. 1 in 6 students said they'd never had to budget before. Of course, if you have lived at home up until now, you probably haven't ever had to really budget your money before. So it does take a little while to get used to and a little while to find the way which works best for you. And additionally, 43% weren't aware of additional funding options, e.g. grants. Again, we will go into those a little bit more later on in the presentation. So some things to consider in terms of budgeting and finance at university, and this is particularly, when you're looking at what uni you want to study at. So how far is the university you want to study at? So how far is it away from where you're originally from? You might be coming to us as an international student, so of course choosing to study in a different country is a big financial decision. But equally, if you are living in the UK, it still can be quite expensive sometimes to travel throughout the UK. So you need to have a little research about how much will it cost you to get home at Christmas? How much is it going to cost to travel at peak times? Can you get good deals on train tickets or bus tickets around the UK as well? And equally as well, you need to have a little think about where you're going to live when you're at university. So how long will it take you to commute from where you're living? So of course, if you're living in student accommodation, say on campus, it won't take you very long to commute at all. That's usually going to be a little walk away from where you're staying. So you won't really need to budget in buses or train travel. However, say you were living on our Hope Park campus, you need to have a little think about how much it's going to cost if you want to get into the city centre, for example, by bus. And equally as well, you know, if you are living in private rented accommodation in the city, or if you are a student who already lives in Liverpool, again, you need to have a little think about how much it's going to cost you each week to travel to and from university. Another thing to consider is if the local area or the city you're choosing to live in for university is expensive. So you might not know too much about this so far, but different cities in the UK have different costs of living. Cities such as London tend to have a higher cost of living than, for example, Liverpool or Manchester. So it's good to have a little Google and a little research about the average cost of living in the city you're choosing to live in. Another point to consider is, can you utilise student discounts? So I would really recommend having a research about what student discounts are open to you, and there are some really good ones out there. So you can sign up to things like uni days or student beans, which are online discounts where you can get codes for lots of high street and online shops. And equally as well, you can use your student card, or you can buy an NUS card as well to use in stores as well. And finally, you can use the student finance calculator, which if you're not sure how to find that, I recommend you just type into Google student finance calculator. It should be on the .gov website, and you can estimate what it is exactly you're entitled to in terms of your maintenance loan as well. So I've got a little activity here for you. I won't make you say your answers or anything, but feel free just to have a little think while I've got it up on the screen. This is a little test of if you know how much you maybe be likely to spend in a week. So in terms of things like takeaways, so you're ordering a pizza from Domino's, do you know how much that costs on average? Again, you need to think about things like your accommodation. So how much do you think that's probably going to cost you per week? Your weekly shop as well, that's a huge cost for a lot of students. So that's something to consider. And as well, you know, things that you might be less likely to consider as well, like travel we've already covered, resources such as books and stationery at university, and, you know, the fun parts as well, you know, going out with your friends at the weekend, and of course, paying for your mobile phone bill as well. So we've got a little kind of slide here just about what an average student tends to spend. So this is per month. So for example, the average rent usually costs around £431 per month, but of course this might go up or down depending on where you're living. This can be dependent on where in the country you're living, or equally where even in a city you're living, and also the type of accommodation you choose to live in as well. So for example, here at Hope, our ensuite accommodation tends to be a little bit more expensive than our shared accommodation, so that's something to consider. As well, groceries tended to be around £92 per week, but again, that depends on where you shop and what items you buy, so you can save a little bit of money by buying own brands, shopping in slightly less expensive supermarkets, and again, just kind of trying to find cheaper alternatives. You can also save a bit of money on groceries as well by, you know, shopping with your friends and things like that. Bulk making food, or, you know, cooking with other people as well. Usually people tended to spend about £49 going out per month, and of course uni's not just all about studying, so that is something you want to consider in your budget, making sure you have enough money set by to actually enjoy that student experience as well and have fun. Transport was around £44, and then you can see the rest here. Takeaways around £34, household bills £32, clothes and shopping £31, and there's also, you know, things you pay less, such as holidays, mobile phone bills, and course materials as well. So it all does kind of stack up to around £769 per month. So it's important to really think about what is important to you to spend. You know, you might not spend as much money on going out as other people, or, you know, things like your phone bill might be a bit less expensive or more expensive. So it's all about thinking about what's important to you to spend your money on, and setting out a clear budget for yourself. So in terms of financial support, there's lots of financial support open to students, not just your maintenance loans. Many universities and colleges offer financial support through bursaries and scholarships. These are slightly different, just to let you know what a bursary and a scholarship is. Bursaries are usually linked to personal circumstances, and often household income. Awards can include discounted tuition fees, accommodation, or cash. So these are usually awarded to people in certain circumstances, such as if they had a child dependent. And scholarships are usually linked to academic results or an ability in an area such as sports or music. So normally if you're really good at a particular sport, you're really good at playing an instrument, many universities have lots of different scholarships that they offer, that you can either save a bit of money on your course fees, or, you know, get other things as well. These are normally awarded and you need to apply for these, whereas bursaries are often awarded automatically if you're eligible. Just to give you an idea of what we offer in terms of scholarships at Liverpool Hope as well, we offer the Access to Hope Scholarship, which are normally 10 scholarships per year for students that make Hope their firm choice on UCAS and meet the widening participation criteria. If you're not sure what that is, I recommend having a little look on our website for a few more details. And this is normally around £3,000 per year. We also offer performance scholarships for students in dance, drama, music or sport who have a portfolio of public performances or have performed at a national level. These people are eligible for a scholarship of around £3,000 over the period of study. And finally, we offer a music scholarship as well, which is offered to 9 students, and they're together worth more than £40,000. And these are usually given as scholarships in terms of extra support, extra tuition, and also sometimes money as well. And like I said, have a little look on our website for further details if you think you might be eligible to apply for one of these. In terms of further support, I did mention grants a little bit earlier as well. So to give you a bit of an idea of what you might be eligible for again, out there are childcare grants, which can help with childcare costs for people who have dependent children under the age of 15 at the beginning of their academic year, or under the age of 17 if their child has a special educational need, or if they're in registered or approved childcare. We also offer parents' learning allowances, which can help with course-related costs for students with dependent children. We also offer adult dependence grants, which is help for students who have adults who depend on them financially. And we also offer disabled students allowances as well, or DSAs, which help pay for extra costs that a student might have as a direct result of their disability, including long-term health conditions, mental health conditions, or specific learning difficulties such as dyslexia or dyspraxia. Again, when you're applying to university, or if you've already applied, I'd really recommend doing your research and finding out exactly what you might be eligible for. So I'm going to pass on to Nathan now, who's going to go into specifically Hope offers.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to start off with what Hope offers and our services, we do have our pound lunches at the Championship, which can be quite handy for students, especially when they can be on a bit of a tighter budget sometimes. As well as we do have all of our sports facilities, including our gym membership, as well as all the accessibilities to our indoor gymnasium, outdoor astro pitch and tennis courts. And that's the one-off payment of £25. And then you have unlimited access to all of that for the whole year. We also have a free shuttle bus service that goes around our 3 campuses. So some people might find it handy to go from our Hope Park campus, which is our main teaching campus, into our creative campus, which is located in the Liverpool city centre. And sometimes that can be a bit handy to get to town if you wanted to get through there. As well as the public transport through the night bus, and also anthologies and coursebooks that are able to be provided from our library. Furthermore, some of our services include such as our Starbucks, Costa Coffee, as well as other cafes in the library as well, which are a great opportunity just to kind of go have a coffee, tea or anything and just kind of study, relax with friends and just kind of hang out a bit and relax. as well as we have our dissertation binding through our varsity shop. So in our varsity shop, we can have our third year's final big research projects, which gets binded for them, as well as there's stationary equipment, our branded clothing, and also computing aid to there as well. Liverpool Hope's Hardship Fund is also a way to support finances for students. So that's a way that you might be also eligible for that if you did want to apply for Liverpool Hope's Hardship Fund. As well as we do have what we call Hope Works, which is job opportunities for students at Liverpool Hope University to work part-time alongside with their studies. What this is basically a way to get a bit of extra income. So it just allows you to kind of have a bit more to spend throughout your month. As well, it helps you develop skills, experience that employers in the future might find a valuable asset, especially when it comes to being able to gain interview practice, as well as different types of experience, being able to communicate with prospective students. It also gets you more involved with the university's activities, which can be seen as quite a benefit in retrospect to your studies at the university. And not only this, it gets you to be able to meet the students and wider community of Liverpool as a city, as well as it gives you a great experience to be able to put on your CV. Furthermore, it gives you opportunities to be able to be registered. Being a Liverpool Hope registered student also allows you to be not only a
Apologies, I think Nathan, I think your microphone's turned off there.
Oh yeah, I don't know how that accidentally just muted itself. So I was just mentioning how there's other opportunities through Hope Works, being a survey assistant, catering assistant, writing and study skills mentor, sports coach, theatre usher, as well as a library assistant. So there's a variety of different opportunities for yourself if that is something of interest. And just a bit of useful information for students is tips to be able to save money. So like Melissa mentioned earlier, is that cooking and shopping together when it comes to maybe your first year, you'll be in halls of residence and you might be sharing it with a few other people. It might save a bit more to be able to share a few things, whether that's your weekly shop, your essentials such as your cutlery, your plates, your mugs, your glasses, as well as milk, irons, sugars, those little daily necessities, as well as just being able to use cheaper supermarkets such as, you know, the likes of the Lidl, your Aldi, and maybe even Asda if you were able to do that too. As well as being able to socialize your budget in the sense of what Melissa mentioned earlier, getting student discount cards such as the NUS student card. It allows you to get discounts at shops such as the Co-op and many other varieties. And also another one is a handy one, which is when you're doing your washing at the laundrette, perhaps it might be easier to spread the load with other people so that you can kind of split those costs as well. A couple useful apps that might be worth downloading are two big ones that we have here, which is the Starling Bank as well as the Monzo one. And it basically allows you to be able to split up your categories so that you know what you're spending on what sections. So you can kind of see in the graph there, it's got your, you know, takeout, the delivery, your extra bills such as your Spotify, and maybe you have your telephone bill with that, and then also what you're spending on leisure such as clothing, going out, and that type of thing. So it allows you to kind of see what you're spending where, and then it can analyze your budget in the sense that maybe you should cut out a bit there to save a bit more here to have more money for the end of the month. And then following on to a task, which is budgeting. So we do have here our monthly budget that we like to think is a great way to be able to understand your income of what's coming into your account, as well as then putting down what's going out, the outgoing expense of your account. And then at the end, you can kind of calculate the total balance of this. So if you were to fill out the following information here, you'll be able to see what comes in, what goes out, and it kind of makes sure that you be a bit more realistic and consider everything, whether that is, you know, your birthday's coming up or you got a few friends' birthdays coming up to the month. So be a bit realistic with that retrospect, and you can kind of understand the total of how much you'd be spending. So in the next slide, we did put a few examples of what could be put into these boxes. So an income for your average student could be the student loan, any bursaries or scholarships that are present, maybe a part-time job, and even some money from your parents if you do get that as well. And just underneath, there's a list of all types of outgoing spends. So your big ones would be obviously your rent, your bills, and any other extra accessories, whether that's socializing if you wanted to go out for for drinks, or if you wanted to go for food, and just any other things that you wanted to get goodies wise, takeaways, that type of thing that can be sitting there. So then your total balance would be the total monthly income minus your outgoing, and then that would be how much you would have left over. So I hope this was kind of a great little opportunity for myself and my colleague Melissa to be able to kind of explain budgeting for new students at Liverpool Hope University, as well as in university in general. Obviously, do feel free to ask any questions if you had any